next one could only go after 20 days, other because the grazing fields would be. Okay.
So we were talking about pre-Mughal or Mughal measurements. Well, Mughals used very commonly the term gaz, but this was not the same in the time of Akbar and Shah Jahan. Every important emperor standardized his own measurements. I mean, commonly it is translated in English as a yard, but it differed, I mean, from period to period. And this appears to be some sort of a traditional measurement. Earlier we had another term called hast, that is cubit, and then purush, that is a human being itself. And normally a human being is supposed to have a standard height of 3.5 cubits. I mean, this was a popular belief in India. This is a popular belief that everyone's height has an intimate relation with the part of his hand, and in no case it should be more than it should be exactly 3.5 hands if you measure my body. So with this was again in all periods it appears to have been standardized. Then we have got finer measurements, particularly which have been used for the measurement of time, like the dust particles called Trashareno, or the tip of the hair called Balagra, or tip of the needle called Sutyagra or Bindu. So these were the common thing. And then in the hands, the fingers, the palm, and the lines that you see in between the joints of the fingers called yava. So this was being commonly used depending on the subject.
Okay. Now what was the kind of normal formation of the caravan, the composition and its movement?
Caravans, see, in medieval period camels were largely being used, but earlier it was primarily the carts, varieties of carts, smaller and bigger, carrying merchandise, carrying loads and carrying human beings. And they also were being accompanied, apart from the traders, by a number of private individuals, which included jugglers, priests, monks, and even sometimes soldiers, adventurers. And then they, just for the sake of security and availing facilities on the way, they used to travel together. Later on, the same device was used by the thugs, who were ultimately uprooted by Colonel Sleeman. They used to become a part of a caravan, and then they mislead them and ultimately kill them just to have the possessions. So you can go through the book called Rambles and Recollections by Sleeman, which has many interesting stories on the movement of the people and the thugs.
Why did a caravan have to wait for 20 days for the next one to start?
No, because there were no grazing grounds. Suppose we start from the city of Mathura towards Taxila, and there were almost well-known places where we are supposed to stay. So, and we have to ensure before going there that there is sufficient fodder in the pastures for the neighboring pastures for the cattle, and food for the human beings. So, because the grass used to take nearly 20 days to grow, so there used to be a kind of traditional gap between the movement of one large caravan to be followed by other.
There must have been some kind of jostling for licensing on that.
Well, licensing, no, it is for just to have the safest journey. That was the idea.
So somebody or the other would want to go ahead. He would be bribing somebody or the other, I'm sure.
No, but again, this is on the way. If he can overtake the early previous one, he could do that.
And then the other fellow would have to wait.
Yes, you have to wait, or you have to divert your way. You say instead of going to straight away Taxila, you may go to Rajasthan and then reach Taxila.
हाँ है यहाँ, ये तो जिन्होंने इतिहास पढ़ा उनको ही पूरा पता है इसके बारे में तो।